So today we will discuss the verses 4 to 11 of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the first 3 chapters, Krishna has introduced the origin and history of transcendental knowledge. He spoke it to Vivasvan, the sun god, and he spoke it to Manu. Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku. And so it comes down from Krishna down through the disciplic succession. But because the disciplic succession was broken, Krishna told it again to Arjuna. And why? Because Arjuna is his friend and his devotee, and only devotees can understand the deeper meaning of the spiritual instructions. So now, after hearing that, Arjuna is asking a question. That question will oblige Krishna to speak about himself. Transcendental knowledge starts with knowledge of Krishna. Unless we know Krishna, we cannot know ourselves. Because we are a part and parcel of Krishna, a spiritual spark, which is a part of Krishna, a spiritual atom. Therefore, first knowledge is to understand Krishna and ourselves. And what's the difference between Krishna and us? And then we can understand what our relationship is. And Krishna will also explain in this section the process, how to develop that relationship and how we reciprocate with that relationship. So that's an important section. 4 to 11, let's see how far we get. So next slide. So this is a little summary, but I gave the summary already of what comes. So next slide. Here we have Arjuna's question. This question is a translation of Baladev Vidyabhushan. Arjuna said, "You appeared after Vivasvan. He was born previous to you. How can I understand that you spoke this yoga in the beginning?" So, interesting is that Arjuna is saying to Krishna, look, we took birth practically together. And you told this knowledge to the sun god 120,400,000 years ago. That, how can I understand this? It is an interesting question. One can say, does Arjuna not know who Krishna is? No, he knows who Krishna is. In the Mahabharata, when the 5 Pandavas were in exile, they were in exile after the gambling match and with the Kurus, with the sons of Dhritarashtra. They were in exile, and Krishna came to visit him. And there it's already clear by what Arjuna said that he understands Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. But they didn't ask anything from Krishna. That they knew it is his plan. So why is then Arjuna asking this question? Is he an illusion or what? Some way or other, he asked this question. But we must understand who Arjuna is. Arjuna is not a conditioned soul. It is not to appear to take by his karma. He had no karma. Everything what happened to the Pandavas was Krishna's plan. But we, of course, we are under illusion. We think we are this body, and we think and giving enjoyment to this body, that's my life. That's a big illusion. We are under Mahamaya, the material energy, which brings us in illusion. Illusion means we forget Krishna, and then we forget ourselves. Therefore, spiritual knowledge starts with knowing who Krishna is. That's the first thing. But Arjuna is under the spiritual energy. Arjuna is an eternal associate of Krishna. We will hear further that Krishna appears at certain moments with certain reasons. And one of the reasons why he appears is to give us this transcendental knowledge, which is in Bhagavad Gita. And Lord Krishna appears in universe after universe. And Arjuna is traveling with him. It is eternal associate. And what is his service? To make sure Krishna, to facilitate, to help Krishna to speak Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, he's asking that question. It's inspired by Krishna to ask that question. He's asking that question because for different reasons. Next slide. So why is Arjuna's question important for all of us? When we really understand Lord Krishna's position, then how would that change our behavior within the world and our attitudes towards it? So that's the point. If we understand Krishna, we will understand that we are a spirit soul and start acting as a spirit soul, not as the body. That is very important to understand who Krishna is. Arjuna is asking this question for us. And he facilitates the speaking of Bhagavad Gita. Because according to an etiquette, a gentleman does not speak about himself. He does not want to speak about himself. But by asking that question, Krishna is forcing Arjuna to speak about himself. So Krishna facilitates the speaking of Bhagavad Gita. Next slide. That. So, in the purport of this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes, Arjuna, when Krishna was speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Vivasvan, the sun god, on the sun planet, Arjuna was also there. But he was in another capacity. And Lord Krishna was in his Vishnu form, 4 arms, when he spoke to Vivasvan. You can see it here on the picture that is instructing the sun god. And Srila Prabhupada had seen the purport, Arjuna was also there, but in another capacity. So Arjuna had a fire body. Otherwise, you cannot live on the sun. Like a fish has a body to live in the water. A bird has a body to to live in the air and they fly into the air. We have a body to live on the earth. So there are also bodies of fire. So Krishna has many forms. Here you see Vishnu form. It's like a Vaidurya gem. A Vaidurya gem will reflect the colors that of the environment. So yeah, it can show many colors like that. Krishna has many forms. Next, here you have a Vaidurya gem. Although the Lord is without any second, he manifested himself in innumerable forms. It's like a Vaidurya stone which changes colors, yet remain one. So Krishna is one, but he can appear in many forms at the same time. In Dwarka, he expanded him in 16,108 forms, because he had married 16,108 queens. Yes. So, next verse, next slide. Arjuna is covered by the Lord's internal energy. So, intending to say this, the Lord says, it's interesting. Baladev Vidyabhushan puts always lines between the verses of Bhagavad Gita to clarify things. And here it says, yes, that the Lord intended to say, I've passed through many births, you, because you are my friend, also have passed to the same number of births, but you do not know this, because now your knowledge is covered for carrying out my pastimes by my inconceivable energy. Interesting. That's 4.5. I will also read the Sanskrit and the translation of Srila Prabhupada. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Paunime Vyatitani Janma Yatav Saryana Tanyam Veda Sarvani Natvam Veda Prantapa. The personality of God had said, many, many births you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. So this is important knowledge. Krishna is saying here, you have gone to many births. I also, but I did not change body. I appear in the same body. But you, Arjuna, changes bodies. And because you change body, you forget. You forget your previous life. It's because we are changing bodies. We forget previous lives. So that's the difference between Krishna and us. We, in the conditioned state, we take one body after another. And we went to so many lives. In these lives, we had so many attachments. Attachment to children, to parents, to relatives, to friends, to positions. And so many troubles and some happiness also. Do we remember? No? So next life, what will you remember about this life? What will you remember? Nothing. It's all gone. So why do we take the attachment in this life so serious? Soon it's all over. That's important knowledge. Understanding that, you will cultivate the attachment in your heart. If you hear that but don't really deeply understand it, no detachment will come. Therefore, there is a need Because we are so conditioned to hear this again and again and again. Therefore, we have daily Bhagavatam class, and Prabhupada wanted also in the evening Bhagavad Gita class, always hearing this knowledge. And one day in English they say, the penny will fall. You will understand, yes, now I give. But, and it's important to hear that daily. Because when you suffer because of your attachment. And when you suffer and you hear this knowledge, it will create detachment in our heart. So next slide. Arjuna is covered by the Lord's eternal energy. So that's the same point. Yes. Yes. Because now your knowledge is covered for carrying out my pastimes by my inconceivable energy. So Arjuna is not a conditioned soul like us. It plays the role, but it's just to serve Krishna in his pastimes. Next slide. Vishwanath Thakur also explains that. You do not know, since I cover your knowledge for fulfilling my purpose of my pastimes. With knowledge covered, O afflictor of the enemy, you afflict the enemies by thinking of yourself as the son of Kunti, a Kshatriya during this lifetime. This is the influence of Yoga Maya. So under Yoga Maya, Arjuna thinks I'm a Kshatriya, I'm the son of Kunti, my son is Abhimanyu, and I am married with Subhadra, and so on and so on. But that's under the influence of Yoga Maya. That's by Krishna's will. But we are under Mahamaya. Mahamaya is the illusory potency of the Lord, which makes us think that we are this body. Which makes us think I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm all these things. Good. Next slide. The Lord also takes birth, but does not undergo any transformation. So we will see that in the next verse. Krishna will explain that. It takes birth, but undergo no transformation. Like I say, no transformation. That it takes birth and he's a baby, and then he grows up and gives pleasure to Mother Yasoda, and then he's herding the cows with cowherd boys. He grows older, and then he gives pleasure to the gopis, Srimati Radharani, and then gets a little older, he kills Kamsa and so on. Yes, his body changes, but not like us. It's for his pastimes. But then he never grows old. He remains having his Nava Javana form 16 years, he doesn't grow old anymore. I never seen someone like that, but we can see Krishna is different. Next. If God is a human, then he cannot be omniscient. The Lord said, you and I have gone through many births. I know all this, but you do not, afflictor of the enemies. Right. That's the difference. We change bodies and we forget. Next. So Arjuna forgets his previous life. But being born, the Lord does not undergo any transformation. That next verse, reflections. Well, see, it is the importance of realize that we have forgotten numerous previous lives. What should be the impact of this knowledge on our present attitude towards the temporary material world? You see all these faces that we got in different lives. It's all the Krishna had said before that temporary is not valuable. But valuable is what's eternal. What's eternal is our spirit soul. But our spirit, what's eternal is our consciousness. What's eternal is our relationship with Krishna. And that's important. We develop that relationship, then we have an eternal relationship. That relationship is there. It's covered over now. You cannot break your relationship with Krishna in reality. He's in your heart. He's controlling material nature. He's making you breathing. He's making you thinking. He's making you speaking. How can you be disconnected with him? The idea that we are disconnected, it's Mahamaya, illusion. Next, text 6. Ayopisan avyayatma bhutnam ishvaropisham prakatim samadhistaya sambhavani atma maya. Although I am born and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my eternal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So Lord Krishna, he appears every millennium. Every millennium. So that's a millennium is 1 day of Brahma. Is 1,000 cycles of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And Krishna appears. Is scheduled to appear. Like you see the sun here, the sun comes up and he appears. And then the sun sets. It does not mean that when the sun sets, that the sun does not exist anymore. No, it's out of our vision, that's all. The earth turns and next day there will be again the sun. That it's out of our vision. That so Krishna may out of our sight does not mean that it does not exist. No, what's the value of our eyes to see Krishna? What can we see? Very limited. Okay. Next. So Krishna says, I appear with my own spiritual form. That is a commentary of Baladev Vidyabhushan. In speaking of the uniqueness of his birth and form, the Lord indicates his eternal nature. In this verse, the word prakriti means form, svarup, nature, svabhav, or manner. Taking support of my own form, svayam prakriti, I appear. The Amara Kosha dictionary gives this definition of prakriti. Samsati prakriti tvine svarupam svabhavasya. I appear with my own spiritual form. So in the verses here, the word Atma Maya is mentioned. Atma Maya means I appear by my own spiritual eternal potency. I appear by my own sweet will. Although that Krishna appears at certain times, he appears out of his own will. Do we take birth according to our own sweet will? Did you choose the body that you wanted? No. In some way we did by our desires in previous lives. But we don't want to take birth again and die. But Krishna, he appears out of his own will. We are controlled by material nature, put into the womb of the mother and so on. And yes. Next slide. The Lord's appearance in the delivery room. Thus one should recall his appearance in the delivery room with divine form, decorated with divine ornaments and with the 6 opulences. Yeah. So Krishna appeared before Devaki in his full-round form, completely dressed. Does someone take birth here completely dressed? Ever seen? No. He was completely dressed. Nice. But, so it's a little different, Krishna. Decorated with divine ornaments, 6 opulences, all strength, all beauty, all power, and so. Renunciation. Next. Baldev Vidyabhushan. I'm indeed without a birth which normally gives a person a body close to past karma. So that's, we get a body according to our past karma. We can, that gives information about our previous lives, right? If you get a certain body, it's because of your previous karma. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in further in Bhagavad Gita, we will learn, those in the mode of passion take birth among the human beings. It means previous life we were in the mode of passion. Passion what's the nature of passion? I want to enjoy that, and one identifies with the body. That's what we did in previous life. Are we going to do that again in this life? Then you will take birth again as a human being if you are in passion. If you go to ignorance, you break the 4 regulative principles, and you know them all. When you break them, you go to ignorance. Animal species, different body. That so, like this life is like a body shop for next life. You choose your body by your activities and your consciousness. But Krishna advises better to choose an internal body. ch4part2, the jiva receives body of deva, human and animal, according to their karma, under the influence of papa and punya, good and bad karma, by subtle body which causes bondage. It's by the subtle body, because at the time of death in previous life, the mind will be attached to and that attachment at the time of death is a result of the attachments we created during our life. And then these thoughts form already the subtle form of your next body. So the subtle body is contaminated with this Ein mind. And that produces new bodies. As long as we are not connected with Krishna, we are busy creating new bodies. You scroll on the internet, things seem what you like to see. You are busy creating new bodies, choosing a new body for next life. Something to think about. You eat food not offered to Krishna for my enjoyment. Yes, you are creating new bodies. Every activity not done for Krishna, creating new bodies. And we are very good in it. We have done it for millions of births. It's like it has become natural. It is not natural for the soul. It will not give us satisfaction and happiness. Who wants to take birth and die? Next slide. Reflections. If I want to make spiritual advancement, then how must that knowledge that I have now embodied through my past, through my past punya and papa, change my consciousness and my approach to life? That's what I just said. Something to think about. Next slide, text 7. And now Krishna says, as such as I appear also, but why do I appear? What's my mission? Krishna explains in verse 7 and 8. And these are very important verses. Yada yada dharmasya klaner bhavta bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tatatmam chichamyam. Wherever and whenever there is a destruction of the prince of dharma or a decline of the principles of religions, when there is a decline of understanding Krishna consciousness, then I appear to re-establish Krishna consciousness. And I do that yuga after yuga. So Krishna appears yuga after yuga. That will appear, says also in next verse. This is the translation of Baladev Vidyabhushan. When there is destruction of the Dharma, which is taught in the Vedas, and appearance of adharma, that which is opposed to Dharma, I manifest myself. Then Krishna comes, telling us you are not a body, you are a spirit soul. And he tells us how to act as a spirit soul and become satisfied and give up this illusion of acting as the body. Next verse. Destructions of Dharma and appearance of adharma. When there is destruction of the Dharma, which is taught in the Vedas, and the appearance of adharma, that which is opposed to Dharma, I manifest myself, Atmanam Chijami. The phrase Atmanam Chijami cannot mean I make my body, since the eternal nature of his body has been already established in previous verse. Thus there is no fixed period for my appearance, such as every 1,000 years. So Krishna, of course, there are different kinds of avatars. We will soon see. There are Yuga avatars, Lila avatars, that Guna avatars. So many, we will see. Next. This is from seminar-ch4part2. This further explains when the Lord appears, and it reveals that the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. That's the mission of all the incarnations. Krishna shows himself so that we can understand his power, who he is, by that we can understand who we are. That you see all these incarnations, Lila avatars, of course, Buddha, Nrsimhadev, that Parasuram, that Lord Ram, Matsya avatar, then the tortoise incarnation. That so many incarnations, reflections. How will this knowledge, if accepted wholeheartedly, direct or change the objectives of our life if we realize that surrender to Lord Krishna is the highest principle? So what do we do now? Krishna controls everything. I'm not a controller. What am I going to do? That Krishna can give you a release from birth, death, old age and disease. He's the only one. It's up to us. Follow his instructions and take shelter of him, or go our own way. Next slide. 8. That's the other verse that describes his mission. Paritranaya sadnam vinasaya saduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavani yuge yuge. That Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhanam. I come to protect the devotees. And I come to kill the demons. And yeah, I do this yuga after yuga. But Baldev Vidyabhushan says, but your devotees, the saintly kings, appear in order to wipe out the rise of adharma and destruction of dharma. So why you say that you appear in order to do this? So Baldev Vidyabhushan says, Krishna does not need to appear to kill these demons. No, it's not to be appear. It's just the actions of material nature. They will be killed automatically by nature in due course of time. But people do sinful activities on cruise ships, big parties, eating a lot of, drinking a lot of alcohol in pubs. And Krishna sent the coronavirus. It's all finished. He doesn't need to come personally to kill them all. A little bug. So he does not need to come for that. But why does he come? To protect the devotees, yes. But we will see. Our acharyas give us deeper reasons for that. Next. Baldev Vidyabhushan. My devotees are absorbed in relishing my form and qualities. They long to see my form and thus suffer from not seeing my form. I appear in order to deliver them from this suffering by showing my attractive form directly. So, Baldev Vidyabhushan, that's the real reason. His devotees want to have his association, and therefore he comes to relieve them from the pain of feeling separation of me. That next verse. I also appear to destroy those evil deeds, duskritam, persons like Ravan and Kamsa, who torment my devotees and who cannot be killed by anyone except me. So that's another reason why I appear. We see in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, that Lord Brahma had given benedictions to Hiranyakasipu that he could not be killed during the day, not during the night, not by any that he could not be killed by any living being created by Brahma, that he could not be killed outside, inside, that he could not be killed during the day or the night. And Brahma gave all these benedictions. And Hiranyakasipu said, yep, I'm eternal now, and nobody can kill me. I'm the boss. It's the same like being eternal. But he was mistaken. Krishna appeared as Lord Nrsimhadev. And he killed him in the air, not on the ground, not in the air. It was twilight, was not night, was not day. That he was not killed by any human being, by any being created by Brahma. He was killed by the nails of Hiranyakasipu. By the Hiranyakasipu was killed by the nails of Nrsimhadev. By that we can understand that the Lord appears in these situations. He chastised Lord Brahma later to give that he gave all these benedictions to Hiranyakasipu. But that's another reason. Yeah. So I also appear to destroy, next slide, I also appear to destroy those performing evil deeds, duskritam, persons like Ravan and Kamsa, who torment my devotees and who cannot be killed by anyone except me. Okay. Now, and this is a next slide, and it's a commentary of Vishwanath-Chakravarti. I appear for delivering my dedicated devotees, whose hearts are bursting with longing for me, who are suffering due to their devotion, for destroying the evil-minded persons like Ravan, Kamsa, and Keshi, who give suffering to my devotees, and who cannot be killed by anyone except me, and for establishing in a firm way the supreme dharma of meditating on me, worshipping, serving me, and singing about me, which cannot be instituted by anyone but me. So that's a summary of the whole verse and the teachings of this verse. And the purport of verse 8, next slide. So the Prabhupada said, a sadhu is a man in Krishna consciousness. When we become Krishnas, conscious of Krishna and becomes a devotee, is a sadhu. That's the definition of sadhu. First, next slide. Duskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. All those who do not care for Krishna, they will be killed and take birth again, be killed again. Krishna kills everyone. He says in the 11th chapter, I'm time, the ultimate destroyer of everyone. Everyone will have to submit to time. That we don't take for Krishna, care for Krishna consciousness, we'll take birth and die again and again. But if we become Krishna conscious, we get out of this cycle. So first, next slide. It is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to destroy the demons. That can be done by others. Next slide. The Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees. You see how Lord Krishna took care of Srila Prabhupada after he got 2 heart attacks of the Jaladuta boat. That after 2 heart attacks, Krishna appeared to him in a dream. And he was carrying him personally over the ocean, in a boat over the ocean. And after that, the boat went to the Suez Canal, Red Sea, the Mediterranean, and then Atlantic Ocean. And the captain said, "I've never seen such a peaceful Atlantic Ocean." It was so peaceful, the whole. Yeah. So Krishna appears, next verse, in different avatars, Purusha avatars. There are 3 Purusha avatars. That Karnodakasaya Vishnu, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakasaya Vishnu. These 3 arranged for all the creation. Guna avatars, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, controlling the material nature, the modes of material nature.